Romero, to be followed by Elliott, Gabriel.
Good evening. So I kind of want to just talk a few things about the programming, appropriation of funds that have been spoken in last week's session and this week's session of City Council. That area is going to be recreation and the library because they're grouped up together. Last week's couple people spoke on regards to the library and the depleting circumstances that are going on in the library. I want to highlight those areas, and the librarian, for one thing, I think that vacancy should definitely get filled. And two is the computers. They're very old, and we need new computers. There's also, sometimes it's so packed, can't have any, there's nowhere to sit. So I think someone really needs to survey the library. The city's growing rapidly, and I think we're outgrowing our library services, or our library space. Another area that I want to talk about is the programming that we've been talking a lot about. Last week, law enforcement talked about programming in regards to prevention. They highlighted Parent Project. Parent Project is not an evidence-based curriculum, so it hasn't been proven to be effective. So I think we need to ask the hard questions in regards to what types of programs we're talking about. We're talking about different programs in regards to what they serve or what they're about, but we don't know if those are duplicated numbers, unduplicated numbers. What number of the population are we reaching out to? It sounds good, we're having these programs, but I think we need to ask the hard questions. Let's see what else. So those are the things I kind of want to talk about. I wanted to highlight. I think that we need to look deeper and scrutinize some of these programs. A lot of these appropriation of funds are going to programs or people who are overseeing these programs who are not experts in those areas. For law enforcement to be having oversight for social services programs or prevention programs, I don't think that's correct because they're not competent in that field. So I think you need to let social workers do social work and law enforcement do law enforcement. And I think the library is something that we definitely need to invest in. The other programs, the recreation programs, great. Let's keep on doing that. But I think that we definitely need to look at who's in charge of these programs. Thank you.
Mayor, may I ask a question before this gentleman leaves?
Councilman Correll, you can't have any interaction.
Well, can I ask the city manager?
Absolutely.
Can you please contact this gentleman and get his definition of evidence-based curriculum? It sounds like something to be very important to this council. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
Last speaker is Elliott, Gabriel.
Hello, Mayor, Council. First off, I'd like to thank you all for the support that you showed last week for the Oxnard Public Library System following some of the comments from the community. Councilmember Pueblo, I'd like to especially give credit to for his heartfelt words, especially when he stated that regardless of one's social or economic status or even literacy level, one can get something out of the library. I'm positive that those words resonated with every library patron and staffer who heard them. I'd also like to thank the library's director, Barbara Murray, for the reassuring words that she personally extended to myself and another community member. And it's that type of transparency and open communication that allows the library to continue to flourish as a crucial hub for community learning. She gave us a small preview of what she's going to present, and we hope that you back her request for a budget that adequately covers staffing and technology needs. By now you're aware that the previous children's librarian vacated her position last month, and the director let us know, and this is great, that she submitted paperwork to HR to have this position filled back in February when the paperwork was submitted for retirement. But this request still hasn't been honored. Now why would, and this is due to HR, why would HR drag its feet on this request, especially when it's already mid-June, the kids are getting out of school? for summer vacation this week. That's totally inexcusable, and we can do better than that. Now, with one small exception, the current job opportunities, if we look, there's no children's librarian. They're almost all police-oriented. The HR page, I mean, it kind of reads like a snapshot of the city's priorities. Reserve police officer 1, criminalist, and fleet service writer. And I'm sure that fleet, it consists almost entirely or mainly, majority-wise, of black and whites, police cruisers that we see around the city constantly. Now imagine if the city included a bookmobile in that fleet, 1 or 2. And I agree when the mayor says we should raise the bar. So let's set that positive example by reframing our priorities. Instead of hiring even more police and conspicuously advertising this with banners hung over the city, let's celebrate education and support our library system. Let's raise the bar for service quality. We can bring some more qualified and talented professionals in to the library, for example, and maybe devote some funds towards promoting our hardworking staffers too while we're at it. And they definitely deserve it. Fresh books, DVDs, etc., maybe even a decent website for the library. Also, it's wrong how in a city of our size, the Colonia and South Oxnard branches are treated like unwanted stepchildren of the main library. Those are precisely the neighborhoods that need these services the most. Now, the library budget is less than 1/10 of the nearly $50 million police budget. When we deny youth the resources and quality programs available at the library, then what happens? It's a vicious cycle resulting in these same kids picking up the unhealthy and sometimes unlawful habits that at face value would seem to justify the city's excessive budget allocations to the police. Now, if we want boots on the ground instead of books in kids' hands, if we want to shut doors on kids instead of opening them, then by all means keep the library's budget at a bare minimum and let the system crumble apart due to mismanagement and decay. Otherwise, thank you for supporting our library system.
Okay. No applause, please. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. That concludes the speakers for the budget items, and we are